All right, so we're 2-0, and that's the best that you can be after 2 games. So, I got to just reminding myself too, going to the locker room. This was a challenging week with 2 less days, and we only had 1 day of practice. So, I think to come out and play pretty well in the first half, was a good job by the players of getting that done. It got sloppy in the second half, and unfortunately, these games tend to do that. When they're lopsided, it's kind of hard to get them to come out and play the same way in the second half. But we did get to play a lot of players, so excited about that because we didn't in the first game. So it's good to get those guys on film and get them involved. And thought we gave up too many yards on defense. And we weren't very good on third down, again, second week in a row on offense. We go for it, luckily, on fourth down. That saves us, but we got to improve on third downs. So got work to do. Sounds like Tulane played really well, I guess, in the first half. Keith gave me an update before. I was going out. I was all excited for, the walk. And he's like, oh, by the way, Tulane scored like 50 points in the first half. So I said, okay, we're just trying to win this one. But the walk was cool. It was really – the energy was amazing that early, to be out there. So I know our players and staff appreciated that and felt the support. And so we got to keep playing better so we can fill the stadium.
Raise your hand if you have a question.
Lane, what do you learn, or what can you learn about your football team in a lopsided game like this? When you put the film on tomorrow and look at it.
I do enjoy the part of seeing backups play, because those guys work really hard. But also, most of those guys think they should be playing, so they get to show it. And sometimes they show where they should be, and sometimes they don't. But at least then they see it. So it's exciting. I think that we, over years pull our starters earlier than most people because of that. We didn't in the opener because I wasn't there. So we played our guys a little too long, especially on offense. But it's good to see those guys get in. I hate that Snoop had the 1 fumble. We would have had 2 games in a row with no turnovers, not even putting the ball on the ground. In which you're going to win a lot of games if we can move the ball like we do and don't turn it over. But I didn't have that same feeling today of the defense, just really knocking them out and being super physical. And I'm not going to buy into that. Well, you had a short week, and that's why we still can be more physical. But we're going to have to this week. And the concern is outside, the deep balls and the pass interferences on the corners.
Lane, you talked a lot in the fall about wanting to see Sam get a little more consistent off the edge. He had a couple of big plays today. What are you seeing from him? Are you starting to see that consistency? Was today a good sign?
We've seen that from Sam all camp. He came back from this summer, just a different player. We struggle every day with him, blocking him in practice, with our ones on both sides. So I was just hoping that would carry over into the game. And I think what we're doing, we don't do as many things defensively, I think is helping him. And, like I've said, in the system we play, if your 2 ends aren't very good rushers, it's not a very good system. You only got 3 guys rushing, and they double the nose every time. So luckily we got, Sam and Cedric out there that give people problems.
Couple of big fourth down conversions at the end of the first half. I think you guys were 4 of 6 overall. Was that a point of emphasis to keep being aggressive? Even I think you guys were at 23-0 when you converted that first one at the end of the half.
Yeah, I kind of went above the book a little bit on some, and that was just thoughts before when we talked about it, saying, okay, we feel like our matchup's really good on offense. Our quarterback's hot. The 3 receivers are hot. So we may have some fourth and mediums that say punt or kick, and we're going to go for them because we like our percentages. And really should have thrown a touchdown to Drummond on the one versus cover 0 and waste a good play that would beat cover 0. And, he's too casual with the ball. So that was kind of disappointing.
Lane, you mentioned you got the opportunity to play a lot of guys tonight. Fourth quarter, we saw Luke and John Rice Plumlee take some snaps at quarterback. How important is it for you to be able to see those guys in game action, particularly Luke, which was his second game action, but first substantial action?
Well, we made a big thing about the fans staying for the fourth quarter. So Plumlee had not practiced at quarterback all week because he was trying to get receiver down. And so I figured fans will stay longer if Plumlee has the ball. So that's why you saw us basically give him the ball at receiver and then move him to quarterback. So Levy's like, we haven't practiced these plays. I'm like, he'll be fine. Got to keep the crowd around. So it was cool to see him have success.
Just to follow up, Orlando Mana did not play tonight. Jake Springer did not play tonight. You expect those guys to hopefully be back next weekend?
We do. Two very critical players. Obviously, they're really the centerpieces of our systems, the center and where he plays in our defense. And you saw how many hits he had in the opener. So we need those guys back.
You talked about cleaning up some of the PIs on defense. Did you see something kind of consistent with those, or were they just they were PIs?
No, I felt like there were some early that definitely were. There were some that were questionable. But we're turning and we're arm barring the guy, before you get our head around and blocking him off. So it's like the targeting. We can sit and complain all we want. Like our coaches, they're complaining that it's a penalty. So it doesn't matter what you say. They're not going to pick it up. So we got to coach it better.
A couple of days, Ontario said he was even a little bit surprised with kind of the volume that he saw in the first game. He had another big game today. You brought up that it could have been a little bit bigger. Are you surprised at all with how he started off this season?
No, he's had a really good camp. He's worked really hard. I probably didn't know the numbers would be like that. And he really had 2 more touchdowns today. He dropped one, and then Hudson Wolf didn't crack the right guy, or he would have had another one. But he's done a great job, and you just never know. With the system, when you're going fast, you don't know how they're going to play. We can't tell you who's going to catch all the balls. And I think in the opener, especially, in this game, they stayed deep for the most part on the outside. I'm sure they read reports of, Braylon running by everybody every scrimmage we have. So, plus when we open the practice to you guys report how great Braylon is, and so now they cover him. So, Braylon, thanks you guys.
Hey, Lane, all the way up here. How's it going?
Great.
When you mentioned earlier about replacing a guy like Elijah Moore, you said it was going to be a type of thing like, receivers by committee, and you kind of alluded to it there, but is this kind of what you envision in terms of efforts from guys like Jonathan and Dontario? Both those guys had big nights tonight. Is that kind of what you envision, like guys like that kind of taking over those reins?
Yeah, I would have probably guessed Braylon's numbers would be the best of the 3 just based off of scrimmages, but it is what it is. I think it's cool, down there, we get one for Braylon late. He didn't ask for it, but I just felt like, all right, let's get him a touchdown, on the crossing route, just because the guy hasn't really touched the ball very much, and even brought him in motion and gave him the ball, just because the guy works really hard. But, the targets aren't on purpose the way they are, but Mingo and Drummond, Gordon's had 21 targets today, and they only played, 2.5 quarters or something.
I guess as a follow-up to that, obviously Mingo had a big game. Can you say anything specifically about what you've seen from him these first 2 weeks?
Yeah, not to sound not excited, but, he's got the deep post that is close to a catch. Knox FaceTimed me at halftime and said he's watching on TV, and it was definitely a catch. So I told him I'd tell the officials for him. But that would have been a big play. Obviously changed his stats. But he's played great. You look even in the first game, the few catches, how physical he looked. Actually, Knox said today when we were talking before the game, he's like, he kind of looks like a, DK Metcalf's brother. So that's a pretty big compliment, how physical he looks out there.
Lane, you spent a scholarship in your 21 class on a high school kicker. And that's not something people do every single year. Costa has proven to be automatic thus far this year. How big is it in terms of you coaching a game that you've got the confidence that you've got a leg that you can depend on?
Yeah, it's great. The guy did well in camp, but he actually kicks better in the games than he has even in camp, which is, kickers are like players. There's ones that are gamers, that just show up. So it's awesome to see, especially as you said, when you invest a scholarship, which we don't do. If you're doing it right, you're only doing it every 4 to 5 years because the guy's really good and kicks. So it looks like we hit a good one. which I've never understood the thing, don't use a scholarship on it. But then at the end of the game, everybody's waiting for the guy to kick the ball to win or lose the game. But was he worth a scholarship? So there's my philosophy on scholarship kickers.
All right, thanks, Coach.